Hey my fellow bibliophiles, this is Sophia from Loves Literature and I'm back with another video. So this time we're going to be talking about where I've been and what I've read recently. Okay, so I have not posted any content for a while, and that's because my life has gotten super chaotic and crazy, and I was getting really frustrated with myself because I wasn't reading as much as I was reading last year, and I had to kind of take a step back and really come to the realization that last year I read 179 books, and that was on top of going to school full-time, working in the summer, having a relationship, doing things with my family. I was reading a ton. And what I realized that was different about last year compared to this year is this year I'm in a better mental health state, and I want to actually go out and enjoy my life. I don't always want to be reading a book. I want to be out with my boyfriend doing things or going to things with my parents. And last year, in January alone, I read 38 books, and what that really told me was in January, I was really sad and anxious, and I felt like I needed to escape my life. And I don't feel like that this year. I feel like my life has been amazing lately, and I want to actually experience it and live in it. And so that's why I have been reading less. And that's not a bad thing. I had to come to that realization of I can still read all year round. I just don't have to read as much. That's not a bad thing to be reading less for me. For other people it may be, but for me it isn't. And especially with my job, I'm not going to be able to have a lot of time to read, so I need to kind of just get used to that and know that just because I'm reading less, it doesn't mean I'm less of a reader, if that makes sense. And so the other piece of exciting news is that I have a job that starts in August. I don't know if I've already said this or not, so I'm just going to say it again. I have a job at a nearby high school. I'll be teaching English, which is really cool and really exciting. I'm super excited, and I'm really hoping that I really love this school. And I think I'll know a few of the students going there, so that's going to be great for me too, to not just be I don't know anyone. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. And I recently graduated college. I graduated the, oh man, I don't know now. Okay, I graduated last Friday, but I don't know the exact date. I'll put in the exact date right here somewhere. Um, and I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Secondary Education English, and yeah, that's my paper diploma right up there. I'm super excited, and yeah, it was just all the years of effort and work and tears and pain that I put into it. It's finally done, and I'm finally done with school. I need a break from being a student, and I'm ready to be a teacher now. And I'm so proud of myself because I'm a first-gen college student, which means a lot to me. My parents made a lot of sacrifices and stuff so that I could go to college and I could have this dream. And I'm also really proud because I graduated, I believe it's magna cum laude, which means I graduated with a pretty perfect GPA. I had only one B in my entire 4 years of going there, so I had a 3.97 GPA, and I know I'm bragging a little bit, but I made that goal for myself that I was gonna have a 4.0, and so to have a 3.97, which is pretty dang close, I'm very happy with that. And yeah, that was super exciting for me, and it was a whirlwind. That was a crazy weekend because we had to drive down to Arizona, and that's an 8-hour drive on Thursday. The graduation was Friday. We kind of just hung out Saturday, and then we drove back Sunday. So driving 16 hours in one weekend is really hard, but it's over, and I am gonna be here where I currently live for the rest of my life, which makes me so excited. And then, okay, the next big announcement is that I am engaged. My boyfriend finally asked me, and we're not quite sure when the wedding's gonna be, but yeah, I'm very excited about that. It still feels kind of surreal to me. And like, and I don't know. It's weird when you finally go, it's weird in a good way when you finally go from, oh, this is my boyfriend to this is my fiance. Like, if anyone knows what I mean. So yeah, that was super exciting. And the ring, that I currently do not have on, it's a little big for me, but the ring that I am wearing currently is not the actual ring. It's because I have very small fingers, so that other ring is getting custom made and it has to be shipped here, so it's going to take a little longer to get here. So I'm wearing a different ring for the time being. So yeah, I'm super excited, and it was amazing. I'm very excited. And yeah, so there's a lot that's been going on in my life, and as a part of my graduation gift from my fiance, he got me this huge graduation gift for college. He got me a $500 Barnes & Noble gift card, and I have used it. Unfortunately, some of the books are gonna take a bit to get here, so when they all get here though, I will film a huge book haul. And he also got me one other gift, and I'll film me unboxing that as well. So yeah, that's super exciting. It's a lot of books, and like this is the first like major book haul I've done, and it's probably gonna be the last. I'm not normally a person who spends that much money on books. Like, maybe I'll spend that much money like throughout the year, but to spend it in like one trip is kind of crazy to me. So yeah, I think I'm done buying books for the year. I really need to read the ones I currently own. There's another shelf over there that you can't see, and then there's this row right here too that is full of unread books. And so yeah, that's my next announcement. I did reorganize my books so that now I have all the unread ones closest to my bedroom, and that meant I did have to move quite a few downstairs. That was like a lot. That was a huge trip to like make that change, but I'm super excited. And yeah, I do love my new shelf setup. I have all my candles on this shelf, and then I organized it as horror, and then thrillers, and then mysteries, and then contemporary, and then romance, and then fantasy is all through here, and then the next shelf is, and then sci-fi starts on this lower shelf too, and then nonfiction and sci-fi is over there. So yeah. Oh, and then I have a special section on this shelf that is just for rereads, because I recently got the rest of the House of Olympus series. That'll be in my big, thing. I bought those in a store as part of the gift card, so they didn't have to get ordered. They're already here. So yes, I will be doing reading vlogs for Percy Jackson, and then the House of Olympus, and then the House of Night series, and I'm probably going to split that into two parts, because there's like 14 books or something in that series, so it's a little ridiculous. But yeah, I'm so excited with that. I thought doing rereads of Percy Jackson and House of Olympus would be amazing, because the new show is going to come out like next year, I think, don't quote me on that. And I really want to reread, because I've forgotten a lot of the stuff that happens in the series, and I'm on Percy Jackson TikTok, so like all these people are talking about all these moments in the books, and I'm like, I don't remember that. And I also never read the 3rd, 4th, and 5th books in the House of Olympus, so I'll only be rereading the first 2, and then the other ones I will be reading for the first time, which is super exciting. I can't wait to get to House of Hades, because I already know what happens. Like, I already know what happens. There's no way I couldn't know what happens, but yeah, that's why I'm so excited to read that. I'm a weird kind of reader where spoilers don't usually bother me. There's so few books where I will be bothered if it's spoiled. Poppy War, I think, is one of them. I was like, don't tell me anything. I don't want to know. Like, that whole trilogy, I was like, you cannot tell me. Please don't. Like, don't. I didn't even read the synopses. I was like, I'm going in completely blind. So yeah, that is super exciting, and that video probably won't be going up until next week of me doing that giant book haul, so next weekend, be on the lookout for that. Okay, so now we're going to be moving on into the what I've read recently part of this video. So let's get into it. I recently have started this new thing where I'm going to pick all the books that I read in a month out of here, because that kind of gives me a nice variety of fantasy, sci-fi, horror, like all of that. Because so normally I am a mood reader, but lately I've really just wanted to be like, somebody else choose a book for me. Like, it's too hard to choose a book. So I came up with this little idea, and this is actually a candle holder, but the thing that I was gonna use, this little bowl, kind of already has stuff in it, so it's easier to just use this. And yeah, so I'm super excited to do this, and I figured I could do this in this video, and we'll find out the next like 4 to 5 books that I'll try to read this month. And all my themed reading vlogs are in here too, so like reading my anticipated releases vlog, reading Percy Jackson vlog, reading House of Night vlog, reading books that scare or intimidate me vlog, like all of those are in here. So when I pick that, that's when I'll get to those books, if that makes sense. And yeah, and then I'll walk you guys through what I've read lately. I've actually read 4 books already this month, so yeah, I'm kind of excited to just share those with you. I'm not gonna do a wrap up for April because I filmed weekly reading vlogs, so if you want to know what I read in April, you can just go watch those. Okay, and I already did pick one, so are you ready? I just wanted to see, like, I just wanted to try it out, so yeah. Okay, so the first one I picked is Heaven Official's Blessing Volumes 1 and 2. I have already read Volume 1, and so any book that is in a series that I have to go through and read the whole series, which is why they're all, both on one paper. Because I didn't want to, like, to do the second and third separate and then pick the third and be like, oh, well, now I have to read the second. So that's why I did it this way. And yes, okay, so that's the first one. So that's 2 right there. And then, okay, I'm gonna give it a good little, have some ASMR for you. Oh, one fell out. I guess I'll do this one. Alright, and so the next 2 books is Priory of the Orange Tree and Shadow of What Was Lost. This is actually for a vlog that I've started filming and I've been trying to finish for like months. It's just not happening, so I will be reading these 2 this month. So let me go grab those. Good, they're like right here. It's so convenient. Okay. Oh, my ear just unclogged. My ears were like being really weird and they've been really clogged for a while, so I was like, it was really annoying. I hate it when my ears are clogged. Okay, so the next 2 books I will be reading this month are Heaven Official's Blessing Volume 2. Don't mind the sticker, I have to take it off, but isn't this cover gorgeous? Like, oh my god, I love this cover. It's my favorite one in the series, so far. And this one is actually about, Xie Lian. I don't know if I'm saying these right. These are translated from Chinese, so my pronunciation of the names is gonna be horrible. But Xie Lian is a god who is currently residing in the mortal realm, and he meets Hua Cheng, who is one of the 4 calamities and a supreme ghost. And Hua Cheng is actually despised by all of the heavenly officials, and Xie Lian is like, but why? Like, he's super nice and he likes him and they get along well. And so basically this one is about they go into Ghost City, and he sees Hua Cheng in like his true element for the first time. And yeah, I'm super excited. This book says rated 17 and plus. I've never, like, here, rated 17 and up. I've never seen that on a book. Interesting. And don't mind this, I have to take this off. But yes, I am so excited to read this. For those of you who don't know, Heavenly Official's Blessing is originally written in Chinese, and it does contain, like, it does have a gay couple in it. The main couple is gay, but that's only ever hinted at. So the relationship is more like subtle and you have to kind of look for it, which I don't mind in a romance, because then when it's like something big does happen, you're like, "Yay!" and you get like the little, yeah. So this is the first book the next book I'm gonna read this month, and then I will follow that up with the third volume in the series. And all of these are just Heavenly Official's Blessing, but they just go like part 1, part 2, part 3. And so this one is about Xie Lian, and he's trying to save a crumbling nation, which I think is like, and the gods like don't normally get involved in that, so for him to like be like, no, I'm gonna try to help, is interesting. Yeah, I'm really excited. I do like this cover. I just don't like it as much as this one. There's something about the like the golden tones in this that just make it so amazing. But yeah, okay, so these are the next 2 books I'm gonna read, and I gave the first one a 5 stars, so let's hope these 2 can be like 4, 4.5, or 5. And then after that, I will probably try to do The Shadow of What Was Lost. I'm on page, I did read a little bit of this during Ramathon, 187. So I'm going to try to get through this. I don't think I'm going to continue with the rest of the series based on how long it's taken me to read this. So I'm probably going to sell it or donate it or something like that. But I would like to finish it because very rarely do I DNF a book. Like, I could count on one hand the amount of books I've DNF'd. And even then I'm like, I'm gonna try to read this again. It's just not working for me right now. So yes, so this will be the next book. And then probably the last book I'll get to this month is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I did read a couple more pages of this, so now I'm on page 14. And yeah, we're gonna try to get through it. Chunky. I really, really want to just finally read this and understand what all of the hype has been about. So yeah. Okay, so these are the 4 books I'm gonna try to read before the end of the month. That's she hefty. She hefty. Yeah, that weighs a ton, and my back like isn't the best anymore, so yeah, carrying books like really does it in for me. So I really like this method. I think it was great, and it's fun because it's like, oh, what am I reading this month? Oh, I don't know, it's a surprise. And so I'm gonna try to do 8 to 10 books out of here every month. Hopefully I'll get through 10, but yeah. And so this will just be like right here. Put this back. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through all of the books that I read recently, just because I didn't do a TBR video for this month, so I figured I should probably show you guys at least the things I've read these first 2 weeks. And so for my, sorry, there's a book behind me, so I'm just reaching behind to get it. I have come up with a system, so when I finish a book, I just turn it around so you see the pages and not the spine. And I think that's really cool because then it gives me a visual of like, okay, this is how many I've read versus how many I still have to read. So yeah, anyways, the next 2 books are over on that shelf, so I have to go get them. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have read 4 books already this month, so go me. The first book I read was episode 13 by Craig DeLuey. This was one of my like most anticipated horror reads of the year. And if you can't tell, I annotated. And it unfortunately did not quite deliver what I wanted. I was like a haunted house and like a ghost investigation TV show crew. Oh my god, like that's my favorite trope in horror. And it did not deliver. It went more of like the philosophical and spiritual route that horror can sometimes go, and I was like, I don't like this. Yeah, so it did not live up to my expectations, but I really loved the way that it was written. It was written kind of in an epistolary format where there's like interviews and stuff from journals, and there were drawings, and so that was really cool to me because I was like, ooh, I love reading like this. But in the beginning, there were some haunted house elements in there that I was like, ooh, I am genuinely creeped out. So one of those was like an abnormally tall woman, and I was like, because that's like the giant shadow figures you sometimes can see. I'm like, like that terrifies me. So I really loved it. I love this cover. I think it's one of my favorite horror covers I've ever seen. And it just did not deliver. So I'm going to be on the lookout for more books that are like this, where they're ghost hunting TV shows going to investigate haunted places. And that's kind of also what my book is. So the book that I'm writing, it is about a guy who solves hauntings in a world where ghosts have been scientifically proven. So yeah. Anyways, I'm just a little disappointed, which is the worst, because you know, like, disappointment is always like a worse emotion than anger is what I feel like. So for me to be disappointed in this book is and it wasn't written bad at all. It was just I had different expectations for how it was going to go, and the author went a completely different route, which I didn't think worked as well. So yeah, that's why. But it's still a great read, and I still would honestly recommend it. I just would maybe give people a little warning of, like, the ending is a bit unexpected. And here's all I'm gonna say. Matt, you deserve way better. You deserve better. Like, yeah. Oh, and the ending. What a plot twist at the very end. I was like, oh, no way. Anyways, yeah, my literal reaction was that. And then the next book I read was Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes, another one of my most anticipated horror reads that I was going to get to this year. This book, it's like a haunted house in space, but on a ship that was like the Titanic. It was so good. And like, okay, here's the thing. Even though, oh no, that's technically a spoiler. I don't know if I want to say that. Okay, so let's just say the haunting may not be entirely supernatural, but I was okay with it because of the amount of haunting that there still was in the end. And like, oh my god, this novel, I really loved it because horror is has been historically used as a genre to talk about a lot of social justice issues, a lot of social problems. And I saw so much discussion in this about trauma and about how do we heal from trauma and how does the healing process look different for everyone else. And like, it was so well done because the main character in this, Claire Kovalik, went through something really horrible as a child. Like, so horrible. And she felt guilty and blamed herself for it for years, because technically what happened, it was kind of her fault. And so her trauma is very guilt-based and stems from that, and she can't let go of it. And so she has found that being away from people is the only thing that helps. And then it's really interesting because one of her abilities, you find out, is not related to her trauma or to what happens. It's a part of her. And so she has to learn how to accept that part of her. And when she does, then she starts to see, like, okay, I'm not crazy, and she's, like, kind of healing from that. And the romance in this, top tier. Like, this was such a healthy relationship, because even though Claire had all that trauma, the guy was like, I will wait for you to figure this out. Like, I'm interested in you, but we'll take it how slow you need it. And yeah, it was so good. It was, I can't rave about this enough. I think I gave it 5 stars. I fucking love this book. So yeah, that was like the best decision I ever made, was to read this. And I actually read this over graduation weekend, and it was just perfect. So yeah, because you know, that 8-hour car ride, I had to have something to read. And I brought 4 books over that weekend with me, and I read 2 of them, so really proud of that. Okay, the next book I read is Lore Olympus Volume 2, and I actually have Volume 1. It's like right here. And so I know you can get these for free on Webtoon, but I don't really like to read on my phone a whole lot. Wow, I'm a hypocrite because I read on my phone a lot, but it ends up giving me headaches. And I really love having physical copies that I can just go through and like admire the art, because the art in this is truly beautiful. And also these volumes encompass like quite a lot. Like this one was chapters, what is it? 26 to 49. That's a lot. Like, that's quite a few chapters. So yes, and I really love this story. I really love how in this one Persephone and Hades' relationship begins to develop, and how at first, you know, they're more like friends, which I really like, and they're feeling like they're sexual tension, but they're like, nah, like they wouldn't like me, we're just gonna be friends. And I also love, okay, so Hades is like 2,000 years old, but Persephone is a new goddess. She's only like 19, and so he actually struggles like with that, like what kind of creep would like a 19-year-old girl, because he thought she was older. And so yeah, I really like that, because in a lot of fantasy books there are really immense age gaps between older men and barely out of puberty women. And so I really like that he actually was like, I feel really bad for liking her, and it showed some of that like struggle to accept that age gap. That was really important to show for me to see that, because a lot of fantasy doesn't represent that, even though they have those huge age gaps. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was just a fun, quick read. I really can't wait for Hades to find out what happens to her. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but like, so many people have read this. I don't think it is. If you have read this, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I want it so badly. I tried reading this. I got to chapter like 60 or something, and then I gave up, and then I started buying these. So I'm gonna eventually read all of this, but I would prefer the graphic novel form, because like I said, the artwork in this is just beautiful, and I love looking at it and reading it, and all the bright colors, and yeah, it's so colorful, and I love that. I love colorful graphic novels. Yeah, okay. You know, the only thing is I don't quite like this cover as much. Like, this cover, stunning. This cover is kind of weird and boring. So yeah. Okay, and then the last book I've read recently is A People's History of the Vampire Uprising by Raymond A. Villarreal. I don't know if that's how you say that. It's either Villarreal or Villarreal. I think it's the other way though. And this story is so interesting. I haven't heard anyone talk about this, but it was so interesting. I loved it. And it starts basically in a small town in Arizona where bodies are turning up drained of blood, and then you go through the whole like 3 or so years after this virus is discovered that basically turns people into vampires, and they call it the Nobi virus, or the Nogales organic blood infection, because Nogales, Arizona is the place where it was discovered. I actually like that a lot, and it is so interesting. It's written in like articles and news reports and diary reports, and there are some chapters that contain like legality stuff, and then there's also chapters that have footnotes that relate to other events in this world that have happened, so like this. And I thought this was such a good way for the author to do world building without overwhelming the reader, because this is all your world building right here, like, but it's sectioned off, so it's not really overwhelming as if he had just put that in regular font in the book. And I loved this book so much. It's a 4.5 for me. It really was. There was just something about it that wasn't quite a 5-star. I think it was the ending. I was like, okay, so where are we now? Like, I almost want a second book to be like, and this is where we are now. Anyways, this focuses on both sides of the argument, so people for vampires and people against vampires, and how one of the perspectives is a woman who's a doctor, and she's like, I'm treating it like a virus because it is a virus. And then there's this FBI agent who thinks vampires are awful, and then there's people who agree with vampires, and it is so interesting. It really is. And so there's a review on here that says, Villarreal uses vampires as stand-ins for those who experience othering by the state and as a way to explore growing xenophobia in the United States today. That really intrigued me, and I was like, huh. And so in the first part of the book, when it was talking about all the good things the vampires were doing, but how they were still being treated, I was like, I totally see that argument. And I totally, like, there were a lot of xenophobic things in here, and there was a lot of prejudice against vampires in here, and I was like, I can totally see how that relates to minority groups that have been othered. On the other hand, though, like, that only applies partially to the book, because the other time, like, a lot of vampires were doing some really bad things, like decapitating people and yeah, so murdering innocent people because they had to drink human blood. And so that's like, there was no synthetic blood that would work for them. They couldn't feed off animal blood like in Twilight. Like, they had to have human blood. And usually when they feed, they have to either decapitate the person to stop them from turning, or they have to have like a device, but that device wasn't invented yet. So it was kind of interesting because it was like, on one hand, that review is very true in its argument. On the other hand, it doesn't apply to like the book and like the horrible things the vampires did to other people. So yeah, that really piqued my interest in the book, and I did really enjoy this. I read this in like 3 days. Really 2. I only read it in 2 days, although it took me 3, but that's because I read Lore Olympus in between reading this. So I kind of tandem read those because I was like, this is super like dark and I need something a little lighter, and that was Lore Olympus. So yeah, I really did enjoy this though, and I would highly recommend it. I, interestingly enough, while I was reading it, I was like, I so want to teach this to like a senior honors class or something like that. Like, it would be so interesting. And this is a debut novel too, and like, this author, fantastic writing. I was like, wow, a debut book that's this good, that's insane. So yeah, because that so rarely ever happens, right? And I love the spine and how it's like this eye. It's super creepy in this cover. Oh, just love it. Anyways, that's what I've read lately, and those are my reading plans for the next month. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below with what you've been up to lately. I'd really love to hear from all of you about how your life's been, any big things that have been going on, and stuff like that. So yeah, you can also find me on my Storygraph at Sophia_Dawn. Put it right there. And yeah, I hope to see y'all over there. I leave very detailed reviews over there as well of all the books I read, so you can totally get a peek at all of my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!